I'm KC Smurthwaite, a contract and consultant with athletics admin. My background initially into collegiate athletics was in the coaching realm. I coached Division I softball and JUCO baseball. Very different, yet also similar. And made a move over to the administration and worked myself up to the point where I would oversee the external unit of a Division I athletics department. Spent some time with ESPN and their nonprofit, the V Foundation, working on more of that sports and entertainment aspect, and then had an opportunity to join up with two other consultants to create athletics admin. And we have essentially a rolling 12, 14 schools and organizations we work with. At the end of the day, we're trying to help augment and offset and improve athletic departments' efficiencies, strategies, and get that extra dollar when it's needed. Because right now in this industry, in this era, this landscape, everybody's looking for that edge. And even if it's just like a game plan with the coach, if we can get 1% better, 2.5% better, we want to make sure that we're involved in that to make those departments 1-2% better.
What's the, we know how messy kind of college athletics is, the massive change that's undergoing right now. Like you said, it's a competitive edge. Everyone's looking for that next dollar. Like, what is just general consensus from the schools, the leaders that you talk with, just around college athletics and the business side of things in general?
Chaos. There's so many questions and no answers. There's some answers, but by the time that there's a document or an internal answer or an external answer, it's already outdated. It's out published. I also teach, as an adjunct professor in sports management programs. And that's the problem, almost like with textbooks. They take so long to come out. They have all that great information, a lot of time, effort, and money into them. And by the time they're even hit the publishing books, I mean, they're out. They're outdated. And so it's really difficult for adjunct professors or full-time professors or even athletic directors to be able to be up to date with all the information that's gathered. And there's a lot of information, a lot of chaos. And how do we get through that? How do we listen to the right voices? And that's causing chaos. And there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of those individuals that are in collegiate athletics right now that are asking, what happened to the industry I love or the industry that I knew? So confusion, chaos, and what's next?
Professor, do you also teach an AI class, or are you doing some work around AI?
Absolutely. One of my classes I teach is media literacy. And it was great because I was teaching it right as ChatGPT really blew up and everything was new. And we kind of blew up the course right then and there. And we talked about AI and its use. Now I integrate AI into everything I teach. Why? Because it's going to be a part of their lives, and you can look at AI from three different angles. One, if we're going to use a housing option or a description here, one, it's the framework. Are you stuck in the mud? Are you looking for answers? Okay, let me ask AI to get that ball rolling, to help me develop a framework. I'll build out the rest. Or two, maybe you already have that foundation, whether it's a student, coach, student athlete, donor, fundraiser, businessman, you businesswoman, whatever you want. Maybe you already have that first step, that framework done. Now you need that second option, which is kind of the finishing touches with that AI can probably spot and say, hey, you know what, you're missing here. Let's fill in the gap. Help us build those finishing touches on this beautiful home. And even that third aspect, you have number one and number two. The framework is done. The foundation's done. The third one is, can you expand it? What's next? What does the landscape look like? Hey, have we ever thought of maybe moving the awning over to this direction? Or what if we built out an extra bench, okay, for a great view? I think those are the three aspects that we need to utilize, whether it's in the classroom or on the field or even on the sideline, to be able to integrate AI use in today's landscape.
Love that. And I've made my notes of the framework, the foundation and expanding and what's next. And so, Eddie, I saw you come off mute. I'm going to ask just one question. Then I'll let you hop in here. But like, your students, I'm assuming they are integrating it maybe more than some of the administrators that you work with. Is that a fair assumption? And like, what's the conversation that you're hearing, one, just at the university level with your students, but also to the leaders and the administrators that you work with around their adoption and, acknowledgement of what AI can do in the space?
Well, you're absolutely right, Josh. Administrators, even other professors are very much, hey, I'm still listening to the radio. I'm going to go shout at the sky, because it's raining. You have to adjust. The great ones adjust. You even look at Nick Saban, who was against the spread offense for so long. And people forget about that. And what does he do? He goes out and hires Lane Kiffin to install the spread offense. They set a bunch of records, won a bunch of national championships. Okay. The same thing can be applied from the administration higher education standpoint. That's been a topic of conversations in a lot of professor meetings. How are you utilizing it? And it surprises me how many of them are saying, no, 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 we can't do it. This is the way it's always been. This is the way higher education, when in reality, complacency is a byproduct of success. What was working yesterday might not work today, but tomorrow it's going to change. And, it almost seduces you into thinking into your carnal security of, hey, we're good, we're having success. But next thing you know, somebody else is finding that edge. And to administrators, to educators, you have to at least be open to the concept of utilizing and leveraging AI. It's not a crutch, it's a tool.
In this space, we're a little bit newer to seeing what the latest and greatest tools are. We know what we're doing at the enterprise. What are you seeing, and what tools are you on the daily leveraging?
I'm using every tool imaginable, and I'm not a handyman, but I am getting to become a handyman. I know we're talking a lot about house framework and all that. I'm a handyman of AI. I believe, and I'm starting to experiment with, ChatGPT. Is it Gemini Bard? Is it Suno? Is it Beautiful AI? Is it what other AI prospect is out there? I'm going to leverage and see, hey, which one works best for this problem I'm trying to solve? I mean, it's just like a different type of offense. A coach is going out here. Eddie, I know you were a coach. Are you going spread offense? Okay, this is what we're going to implement, install in the playbook, and utilize this type of an AI platform to utilize it. And I think at the end of the day, you have administrators and athletic directors, coaches, specifically staff, who are saying we're overworked, we're overwhelmed, not enough pay, we don't have work-life balance. It's almost like that PSA commercial where, they have the sad dogs and they have the soft music going on in the background, and you just want to give and want to help. Well, AI offers that. It doesn't take money away. It only enhances. It can help alleviate some of these answers. Note that I said alleviate. This isn't going to solve everything. And going back to my students or even some of the employees of other institutions I work with, it is a tool. It's not an answer.
We see the same kind of issues, inside the enterprise space, but one of the things is adoption, enablement. What do you see as the biggest hurdle for athletic departments to adopt and embrace AI?
Safety blanket. I mean, we all have that, childhood toy or that memory. It's our crutch. It's our little rose. It's our precious item that we can't get rid of. And it's change. And sometimes change is difficult. But in reality, what happens with change is that there's an answer. And people think when you make a change and it doesn't work out, the best leaders adapt. The best leaders are going, hey, it didn't work. Let's backtrack. Let's reset. I mean, it's not this a 10, 15, 20-year deal here. This can be reverted back, but here's the spoiler alert to everybody. AI works, AI is leverage. I think I'll add one other component to this, Eddie, is that in higher education, as you all know, a lot of bureaucratic red tape. There's a lot of areas that are impacted by any decision within the athletics department, because ultimately the athletics department, let's call it what it is a subsidiary of the university. It's underneath the umbrella. There are decisions that need to be made by individuals on campus that have never played sports. They might have been kicked in the face with a soccer ball, and they've always, resented sports because of that. And so they might not even understand why there's a certain ticketing platform, or why we're even doing marketing or buying so much money or dumping money into video editing or the videographers. So there's also just that blanket security and also fear of the unknown, especially with folks on the academic side that don't truly understand athletics.
Your story reminds me of my time when I was at the Seahawks. We used to have a wall of just videotapes of old school VHS tapes that you got to watch, and you'd watch the film of the game before, or even college film. And, it took a while for coaches to even break through that, like, oh, wait, what's this digital on demand video like? And so I kind of feel like this AI adoption, as soon as you start teaching coaches that their lives will become easier and make it accessible to them, I think that changes the game, right? And I think it changes the way they do things. And I think about things like, I remember when I coached, we used to have a big panel of like a box that we would take around watching video. And now with Huddle, everything is instantaneous, right? And so it's all about showing them that ease of accessibility for coaching and athletic departments, I think. And so I would love to know from your experience, a concrete example where maybe you've seen some of this actual adoption working at any institution at this point, or maybe it hasn't just yet.
No, I use AI every day. And one thing I'll add in, it's something that you mentioned, is the word teach. teaching, we're always learning. Well, anybody can AI, and it doesn't need to be somebody who, is 70 or 80. It can be somebody who's 14, 20. Anybody can AI. And off of that, I think integration of AI has already been there. And that's one surprise to a lot of folks, whether it's Google, whether it's even your marketing or analytics data. When I was coaching a long time ago, I've got the gray coming in hard, is where are people positioning? Where were those hits placed? Where AI, that is a form of AI. So it's always been around. It's also looking in the marketing, sales aspects. Who has the data points to show, hey, that's somebody you need to reach out to either to fundraise or to buy a season ticket. Now let's go back to that second aspect that we talked about earlier is what's the finishing touches? How can we enhance or even expand on what we're already doing? And in areas that we've used it, from a graphic design or branding standpoint, I still pay a freelance graphic designer. He still gets paid. I want to make sure of that. Okay. AI is not taking that away, but what AI can do is make him and myself more efficient. Why? Because when I have a school that's interacting with me that wants to build out a revenue generation project and we're starting to build out a plan, they tell me what they're looking for. I sprinkle in some of my expertise on, growing, expansion, generating revenue. I can ask AI to create a base image or images of what I want or what they want it to look like. I can then give that to him and he can run with it versus this back and forth time and effort. It is so much quicker. And right now, even I'm working with a school and a conference that wants to use AI to develop music. Okay, that are specific to the conference and specific to the school. One thing that I do foresee, especially on the sound side, because not a lot of people are, thinking, hey, AI can help me with our in-game sounds, in-game music. Okay, is think about pre-game situations, pre-game scenarios. You have the video comes out, everybody's getting hyped up. I think of the Vegas Golden Knights and a lot of NHL and even NFL teams, they have different videos for every intro. Can AI start to develop video and music to enhance the in-game fan experience? Absolutely. So those are conversations that are happening right now. They're things that are helping me right now. And also when I'm working individually, I want to make sure I'm having conversations with AI. AI is my buddy. AI is my friend. It's not a foe. And I think that's something that we got to get over. When I'm asking them questions, hey, can you double check this? Does this make sense? Hey, how else can I rewrite this in order to get this resolution?
How can someone that isn't really familiar or doesn't have a technical background, how can they start adopting or get comfortable with AI? Like, where's an easy spot to start?
I think it's just experimentation. It's step one. What's the best action? Well, no action is an action. Can you put that best foot forward or even your worst foot forward? You're diving into it to learn. I'm not an expert. From where I was 24 months ago to 12 months ago to 6 months ago to now, world of a difference, because like we talked about earlier, it's evolving. It's happening right now. Here in the next probably 24 hours, there are going to be a myriad of updates to an AI system that we all use. So how do we get there? It might be overwhelming. Just start. One great thing about AI, and especially if you don't really know what you want or what you need, think about it from like a blind dating standpoint. All right. You can teach AI, okay, how to learn, but in that blind dating, you don't know what you're going to get, but you can start to ask some questions to try to figure out who you're going on a date with. All right. And then you can start to be able to understand what's the next step. How do you start to enhance or flourish this relationship? Well, you input data and you get data back and you start to adapt and learn.
Of that, you talked about timeline and how things kind of evolved and changed in your perspective from the last 12, 24 months. Future wise, where are you kind of like bullish, or where do you think AI can be implemented or used within athletics department? Do you have a bold prediction on really how AI will be implemented within athletics?
Mark my words, there will be a time, not in the very distant future, that an athletic department is full on leveraging AI from video, sports information, revenue generation, you name it, and integrating AI into their athletics department. And they're saving money, they're being efficient, and nobody will know that they're utilizing AI. If you are not on the board with AI or understanding it, or even have some of your staff using AI, you will be left behind. And that's the power of change, updates, and being open-minded to what AI can offer you. So my bold prediction at the end of the day, AI will not take over, but will be so at the forefront of an athletics department and the way they do business that fans won't even realize it.
We had conversations with folks a year ago who were like, AI, I'm kind of interested. It sounds kind of cool. January, December timeframe. Tell me a little more. I saw some things in the marketplace that I should probably be paying attention to, but maybe I'm a little scared. To today, my wife, who works at a big corporation, she has an entire initiative around AI training that's 5 hours long. And by the way, in your performance review, it's expected to know what your AI, training looks like and how you've adapted and used it in your workday. So it's like, think about that shift in a 12-month period, right? Like that is nothing we've all seen. So I do think you're right that these athletic departments are going to have to adapt and they're going to leverage it and they're going to be all the better for it. I think they know that the margins are getting smaller. The competition isn't going away. They have to adapt or be left behind. And so we're pretty excited about what we could try and bring to the table in this space. And, folks like yourself bringing to really kind of optimize these folks and operationalize AI for their departments.
Well, you're seeing over the last 12 to 16 months, and Josh can correct me if I'm wrong, but you see a lot of these head coaches and athletic directors being quote unquote phased out of the game. Some of them are point blank citing, hey, the game's changed. Hey, this is not, what I signed up for. Or, hey, I need a break. And a lot of it, you can point to that NIL revenue share era. It's a different ball game. I foresee, not immediately, but in the 7 to 10 years frame, you're going to see that next wave of coaches and athletic directors potentially be phased out because AI is going to be so integrated and be involved in the DNA of an athletics department and a sports entity, from coaching to sports information to revenue generation, you name it, even academics, scheduling, it can do anything, that you're going to see some folks put their hands up and go, hey, I'm good. I'm out. I'm going to phase out into a different role, because it's going to be so important and vital to know it in order to keep up. If anything, AI levels the playing field for athletic departments. All right. Yeah, there's different comma spaces and different, in different locations within the budgets. But what AI can do is level the playing field.